Welcome back to Quantum Health Transformation. I'm Karen Holton. I have my bachelor degree in social work and also a 2-year diploma in women's studies. And I'm not a health expert, but I am giving you information based on my own personal journey, which has led me from being 320 pounds down to 178 pounds lighter, as you can see. And today is number 5, step 5, green. Food is medicine and another source of universal love energy. Now, if you haven't seen the primer of the same name, please go back and watch it. It's available on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, and of course on my new website, which I'm going to give you the address for very shortly. It gives you all the basic information you need regarding food. And it's also going to introduce you to the best and most nutritious food found on this planet. But the purpose of this video, since all the details are in the other one, is to give you some examples from my life regarding food and how these adventures of mine open my eyes to the spirituality of food. A lot of people just go, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, and they eat. They don't think about how that food affects them on a physical level and even on a spiritual level. So, let me see. I'll introduce my website in a second. The first story I want to tell you, I was visiting my brother down in the Lower Mainland. His name is Daniel. Daniel has studied wild plants that are native to British Columbia, Canada, all his life. And he's approaching 60 himself, so he's got a vast knowledge on the subject. Anyway, so Dan and I are down in the city, and we both have a bit of trouble being in the concrete jungle. And so we went and found a vacant lot which was just growing wild with weeds, and we sat down on the ground in this lot and we had a little chit chat. And after a little while I started feeling really hungry. So I said to Dan, I'm starving, we got to get out of here and we've got to get something to eat. And it makes tears come to my eyes when I just think of it. My brother, he just came alive like a little leaping gnome, and he started hopping from weed to weed, and he said, Karen, open your eyes, he said. This plant has 200 times the vitamin C of the carrots you're going to find at the grocery store, or even of oranges. He said, this plant here has enough vitamin E that only 3 leaves will give you everything you need for the day. And he hopped from plant to plant to plant, just so animated and filling me with all this information. I realized, oh my God, here we are, budgeting our money and going to the supermarket for food that has some nutrition and some life energy. But we're really missing the boat when it comes to real food and what real food is. It was such an amazing, eye-opening experience for me. I never saw weeds the same way again after that. So what I want you to do is to Google edible wild plants, because everybody lives in a different area and different wild plants grow in different areas. But there's always wild food available for you to eat. A little bit later, I'm going to take my camera out along the railroad tracks behind my house, and I'm going to show you some of the plants that you can eat. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't really know exactly what you can and can't eat, but I do know that it'll show you the abundance that's out there. Every vacant lot is full of wild food. Wild food is everywhere, and it's so much more nutritious. When I was younger, I used to go to the food bank, because if you know my story, you'll know that I spent quite a few years in poverty. And at the food bank, we'd get stuff like pasta and canned soups, and we'd line up every Thursday to get our food. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with food banks. They serve a purpose. But I had no idea that I could just walk out along the tracks or walk out into any vacant lot and feast. Now, you may not want to have 100% wild food in your diet because your digestive system is probably not used to it, and certainly your taste buds are not programmed for it. But introducing little tiny bits like dandelion greens and things like that into your diet is going to make a huge improvement, not just on your health, but on the way you think, the clarity of your thought, your whole life experience. So please, Google edible wild plants. There's so many experts out there who want to show you what you can eat, what's available in your hometown or in the country or wherever you live to help you to be healthier. And it's free, okay? So that's the first experience that opened my eyes to non-commercial food sources. Okay, the second experience I had is my kids and I was on my own with my children living up in Sointula, which is a little town, population 800 on Malcolm Island, which is right off the coast of Vancouver Island near Port McNeill. And it's also near Alert Bay, if you're familiar with Alert Bay, which is another island. But getting back to the situation, so I knew some different people in different industries in the area, and one guy worked for a fish farm, and he said to me, "Would you like to bring the kids and go fishing at the fish farm?" I says, "Well, I'm not very good at catching fish, but I'd love the experience, and can we bring the fish home and eat it?" And he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." He says, "And guaranteed you're going to catch lots of fish." So the kids and I, we got our fishing poles and we went over to Port McNeill, and this friend kindly drove us to the fish farm, and we cast our lines, and man, we caught so many fish. I couldn't believe it. They were only about maybe this long, which I'd say maybe, well, less than a foot, maybe 8 inches, 10 inches long, but they were still fish. And afterwards we painstakingly cleaned them and took them home. But I noticed when we were cleaning them that the meat was very mushy. Like it just, you could almost tear the fish open and just, the bones would all break apart when you pulled them out, and the meat had really no substance. But I thought, oh, beggars can't be choosers, and it's a protein source, and we better take this home. So we took it home, and I cooked some up for supper, and it had no flavor, and it was really gross. And I actually had to compost it because we couldn't even eat it. And so I put up signs down at the wharf in Sointula. There used to be a big booming fishing industry there. And I said, "I'll trade home baking for your fishing trips if you bring me back fish." And a couple of the fishermen were very kind to me, and they brought me back. I baked them a few cookies and things, and they brought me back tons of wild salmon, pinks, and sockeye, and then I got the real experience as to what a wild salmon was like, because we'd already seen the fish farm. And the meat was firm and full of color, and it was delicious, and it was work to cut the fish open and remove the innards. And I canned it because that way it would last longer, because we couldn't eat all this fish all at once. And I put some in the freezer. And we enjoyed that fish so much. But my point I really want to make to you is that we're not that different than a fish or any other animal. We are indigenous to this planet. We're meant to eat the things that grow wild and come upon our path in this life. We were never designed to eat commercial food. We were never designed to go to the supermarket and pick up pasty chickens and things like that. We were designed to eat real food, and we were designed to eat wild food. And so what happens is, if you're eating just supermarket food, you're like the fish farm fish. You're going to have easier injury. It's going to be easier to injure yourselves. You're not going to recuperate from illness the same. You're not going to have the same health and vitality. Your flesh isn't going to be as firm and as strong. Your whole body is going to go into a state of decline, much like a fish farm fish. So I want you to really think about this, because we all can become wild salmon. It doesn't happen overnight. But the more super nutritious superfoods and wild foods and raw, full of life force, organic foods, and organic means non-GMO, okay? I do not recommend frankenfood for anybody. I won't eat it. I don't think you should be eating it either, okay? So you can transform yourself from a fish farm fish, and those are the people that have to go to the doctor all the time, and they got bags of pills. I mean, these people like to sit down and show you all their prescriptions, and oh, I'm taking this for my blood pressure, and I'm taking this and for everything else. And you know what? There is a life outside of pills, a healthy life, a good life, where you're resistant to disease, where you recuperate very quickly if you ever do get sick. And if you have a fall or an injury, it heals very, very quickly. I had some surgery, some repair surgery. If you've been to my website and you read my story, you'll see I had a very, very horrible experience with a botched surgery. Later, I need to have a little bit of repair work done. And the surgeon who was in Comox, his name's Rocky Moise, or Moisey, and he couldn't believe how fast I got better because I was eating real food. So I really, really want to recommend you to eat real food and to transform yourself from a fish farm fish into a mighty wild salmon. And only you can do it. So that's the second experience that really opened my eyes to the spirituality of food. While I lived up in Sontula, we also had a neighbor that went out and shot us a bear. Yeah, a bear, a real bear. I mean, we didn't have money. What were we supposed to do, you know? And this guy was very kind, and he went out and he did a quick kill with this bear. It was a 2-year-old female spring bear, so it hadn't been eating out of the dump, and it was fairly lean, and it was fairly young and female, so hopefully it was a bit more tender. And he brought it over, and it was quite a learning experience for me. He carried it into the basement and he strung it up. He put the ropes around the ankles and under the Achilles tendons and strung it up, and he gave me a knife, and he took the other knife, and we skinned the bear in the basement. And then I had another neighbor take the bear home afterwards and cut the meat up into whatever, you know, steaks and hamburger and things like that. And we ate bear. I canned a lot of it because bear can be pretty tender, but not as tender as what we were used to, and certainly not as tender as cooked fish. So I canned quite a bit of that too, and it lasted us a really long time. And it didn't taste bad. So I'm just going to check my notes, see if I forgot anything. Yes, I did forget something. I want to talk to you about food sources. Except for some commercial foods, I don't think there's any bad food or evil food, okay? So if your ancestors ate meat and you're used to eating meat and meat does your body good, then there's nothing wrong with eating meat. Not everyone needs to be vegan or vegetarian. I know the vegans would disagree, but I'm just telling you from my point of view, from my perspective. From my spot on the Nubby Ball, where I take exception to eating meat is if it's been cruelly treated, cruelly raised, cruelly killed, and not respected as a fellow being on the planet. And so I turn to what I call the most nutritious food in the world, hemp seeds, hulled, raw hemp seeds. Give you everything you need and more than meat, but meat is not actually bad. Like I said, we subsisted on salmon and bear, and we thrived, and we did actually way better than when we moved back to the city and started eating supermarket food again. So that's sort of my little stories about the bear. I gotta tell you one other thing about the bear. It's kind of funny. There's a bit of a trail of blood going from the parking in front of my house at the time through the sidewalk and down to the basement. And I guess the local sheriff or policeman or whatever was visiting the island. We didn't actually, maybe we did have a resident one on the island. I'm not sure at the time. Very, you know, it's pretty well out there and low population, so not everybody in a small town gets a police officer, a local police officer. But anyway, this guy came to the house and he noticed the blood and he followed it down into the basement. The bear had to hang for a few days without its fur, and after it had been gutted and cleaned and everything for the meat to tenderize before it got butchered. and he saw this bear hanging there, and he thought we killed somebody, and he was really freaked out. And then afterwards, he came back, and I said, no, it's a bear, and took him down to the basement and showed him it was a bear. I mean, come on, the arms and legs are kind of short for it to be a human, but anyway, it was just kind of funny that I had that little experience. So that's about it. I want to tell you about my experiences today. I'm going to take the camera out in a little while and show you some other ways of growing your own food or finding food, or just how delicious some of it looks growing out in the wild. But before I do that, I want to just quickly go to my website. I am so blessed. I found a wonderful web designer named Brad Warren, who's putting together an awesome website for me. Thank you, Brad, you rock. This is the name of the website. It's www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. Remember, Holton has 2 O's, think of 2 I's. And if you go there, it's not completely finished as of the time I'm taping this video or recording this video, but it's well on its way. On it you can find my blog entries where I talk about my story and my life and how I got to be where I am and who I am today. Also some really good information about something to consider about the spirituality of food, and also about the most nutritious food in the world, hemp hearts. Also, all my transformational videos are featured there, all the ones I've done so far. I still have 4 more steps to complete after this, but hopefully they'll be done soon. And they're all right there, so you can link in and watch to your heart's content, everything, all the primers, all the live videos, everything's there for you. I also have some of my services listed for those of you who would like a health coach. Most of the information is in the transformational videos, and that's something I wanted to provide to everybody, because I've been in a poverty situation where I didn't have the money to go and get the help I needed, and I didn't want there to be a barrier between this information and the folks who could use it, so I just put it out there for everybody. Now, I also offer some coaching services, and you'll notice that I offer them in half-hour increments. And the reason is because the bulk of the information is in the videos and it's free. And so really all you need is some little brief sessions with me to help, help you to get the most out of the videos, and also to tailor the information to your unique situation. And then, of course, products are going to be on the website. So far, you can access my Zendome's Organite, which we covered in Step 8 quite comprehensively. If you want to learn more about Organite and the wonderful grounding effects it has, go to Step 8, both primer and live videos. And I'm also, hopefully this week, going to be selling Hemp Hearts, which is a particular trademark brand of hemp seeds. And I've been eating hemp seeds now for most of my protein source now for about, I would say 7 years, certainly since my botched surgery, so that my tissue could repair itself, because it just gives you everything you need. And so they will be also available. They are the freshest, most delicious tasting hemp hearts, or hulled raw hemp seeds that you can find. The price is very reasonable. I am offering it in case lots because it helps bring the price down for you. But not only that, is you need to actually get on it and use it for a few weeks before you really notice the results. I didn't want you to just order 1 container and go, oh, it doesn't do all the things for me Karen said it would do. You got to give your body a chance, okay? This instant take a pill, fix everything is one way of doing things, but there is a real way of doing it, and it takes a bit of time. I also offer, the company that supplies the hemp hearts also makes a 50% fat reduced flake and powder. Super high in protein. And it's not just any protein, it's the type of protein that your body needs in order to have all the amino acids so that you can have super strong immunity, super quick tissue repair, disease prevention, and give you tons of energy. So I really encourage you to take a look at my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and see what you think of it. And hopefully it will do you some good. Anyway, it's all based on stuff that works for me, and I don't think I'm that unique an individual. We're going to go back to my contact information. You can contact me, of course, through the website. But if you have any questions or you would like some links or you need any kind of assistance, you can also email me at quantumhealthnow@gmail.com. And because I'm offering the workshop for free, if any of you are inspired to send me a donation to help me to continue my work, please feel free to. You can send money orders to me, Karen Holton, P.O. Box 20016, RPO Downtown, Courtney, BC, V9N0A7. Just hit pause on the video if you want to take this information down. And that is about it. I'm going to take my camera around and show you some ways of getting some superfoods into your diet. It's just going to be a brief little addition. I'm going to have to figure out how to chop and glue together. I had a little experience with step 6 on that, so hopefully it'll work for me for step 5. And then please stay tuned and come back for step 4 blue. We're going to talk about heuristics and the power of words and speaking your truth. So speaking your truth, I'm sure you all get that that's really important, but did you know that words are symbols and symbols have power? And this is tied into law of attraction and helping you to get more of what you want in life. So thank you again for joining me. I'm Karen Holton. Please check out my website and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye. I just want to add a little postscript here. I mentioned in my video that I saw a surgeon to do a bit of repair work called Dr. Rocky Moise, or Moisey, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, from Comox. I just wanted to make it really clear that he is not the surgeon who botched the previous surgery. In fact, he did a fantastic repair job on me, and I just wanted to make that really clear on this video. Okay, this is a shot of my aloe vera plants, an example of how you can use house plants to actually grow, and my pussycat, house plants to actually grow medicinal foods. I recommended David Wolf's book called Superfoods on the primer. And you can Google aloe vera and find out the wonderful medicinal results of eating aloe vera plant. You fillet it and take the skin off, and you eat the gel inside. And it's awesome, added to smoothies and probably other dishes as well. And so the point is, make your house plants not only your friends but also a food source. Not so hard to do. Now these usually grow in more of a desert environment, and I'm growing them on Vancouver Island in the house. In the summertime I put them outside, but in the wintertime I bring them in, and they do just fine here. And incidentally, once I put them out in the sun and they got a bit scorched, and I put one of my little zendomes in the dirt beside them, and they recovered within 24 hours. They were fully recovered. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, aloe vera plants, and there are so many other plants you can grow indoors in pretty much anywhere you live. Even in the wilds of freezing Alberta, you can still have some medicinal plants growing as your friends and your food source in the house. And here is part of my little patio garden. I'm growing some hot peppers, some red peppers, and some orange peppers, and also cilantro out here. We've just had a storm, so you'll see it's a bit messy out here, but nonetheless, these are my plants. Okay, the basil's done, but it is, after all, the end of October, and I live in a sort of cold area. Okay, here we have oregano and marjoram, and lots and lots of English mint. Now you can Google any one of these on the internet and find out their medicinal value. Lavender I use for migraine headaches. These are my tomato plants, still growing tomatoes at the end of October. Okay, this is probably one of the few places in Canada where you can still grow outdoor food this time of year. There's more herbs. I've got sage growing in there, and I've got all kinds of things growing in there. And this is probably a little bit done. This is my fennel. And here I've been growing some of these tomatoes that are dark purple, and more tomatoes here. So, when the weather permits, depending on where you live, you can grow a lot of your food, even if you don't have a garden, right out in the patio or the perimeter of wherever you live. Some wild rose hips, still growing. Some nice fresh dandelion greens. We just had a rainstorm, so these look a little bit beaten down, but you get the point. All kinds of amazing things. Things that produce berries. Things, this is mullein. Google mullein, M-U-L-L, I believe I-N. Amazing plant. You wouldn't want to eat this, but it's really good for, I believe, wound care. You can put it in your shoe if your shoes are bothering your feet. Wild clover. We've been taught to be afraid of eating wild plants because they might be poisonous, but the truth of the matter is there are only a few that are poisonous and so many more that are just super nutritious. Baby ferns we can eat. I guess they're called fiddleheads. Looks like some kind of wild parsley growing there. Now I'm not telling you to run out and eat the ones on this video. I'm saying Google edible wild plants and have a look and find out what grows in your area that is not only edible but super nutritious. Look at all this green. Look at all this food that's abundant. Look at this. What a beautiful, beautiful place I live. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the Comox Valley, British Columbia. There's the rail tracks. So lush and so beautiful. I'm so grateful for being here. And then I forgot to mention wild mushrooms, all kinds of wild mushrooms, far more edible wild mushrooms than poisonous ones. Again, you have to find out what you're looking for. The other thing I wanted to say is, you know, some of you live in areas where it's not much is growing in the wintertime. Places, especially in central Canada and eastern Canada. Oh, we got football practice nearby. But you know what? In the spring and the summer and the early fall, you can harvest all kinds of things. And get yourself a dehydrator and dehydrate them. And keep them in mason jars, and you can then add them to soups and stews and whatever you like later on. Yeah, we got a football practice going on here. One last quick note about wild foods is you may want to wash them off in some filtered water and a little non-toxic soap, like perhaps Dr. Bronner's, as described in step 6, detoxification, external detoxification, because animals like to urinate on them, for lack of a nicer way of saying it, just to make sure that they're clean and fresh before you eat them. Or juice them, or whatever.